people watching now. So we are live now. I am still working some technical issues with trying to get Joseph on, and Ryan unfortunately wasn't able to hop on tonight because she's doing some stuff with her HOA, which is also pretty exciting. So what's he say? Yes. No one has invited me to anything. Oh man. All right. Well, I'll keep trying to get him on while we're doing this, but so thanks for everybody who's hopped on and is watching. I guess I'll ask, like I always do right up front, like if you are watching and you can share this, like it if you're on a platform that you can like it on or whatever. But yeah, like if you have questions, start throwing them into the chat. We can see your comments. That's the only way that we know that you're there, other than like a little number dial. And we'll try to bring you into the conversation. So right now I've got Melissa and Chelsea. So Melissa, you're like, I hope I got everything right, because we didn't have a moment yet to troubleshoot any of this. Published author and manager, right?
That's a couple of my hats. Oh my goodness. So I am a journalist in my most experienced hat. And I taught journalism in high school for a number of years. And then I had children. And I stayed home and did nothing but raise children for a little bit. And I just craved more and needed some money and decided to become a freelancer. So I got on some freelance websites and started doing random assignments here and there, like $5 a page to write some awful copyright, and it bored me to tears. And just realizing this concept of like what my time is worth. Time is really worth a lot. And I still don't get paid for what my actual time is worth. I don't know if anybody actually does, because time is so valuable. But
it's the only thing they're not making any more of, right?
Well, yeah, absolutely. So I kind of shifted a little bit and started writing for this one gentleman. And in 2016, he's been like the kind of the foundation of a lot of what I do. And I wrote for some psychology websites, and I have a master's degree in psychology, a little background, and wrote a textbook with him, edited a textbook. And he passed me on to this guy who needed some help organizing his office. He is an excavator and an earth mover out in Colorado. I work virtually, and started doing that. Kind of started a business.
Yeah, so you work, like you've definitely have the opportunity, because today we're going to talk about like working with difficult clients. Like our clients are the people that pay us, and you've definitely had that opportunity of working with people that you're writing for, or working people that you're writing to, and now I can't imagine like excavating. I bet you work with some pretty interesting people who know what they want.
Well, they're cowboys.
They're cowboys. Yeah, that's so cool. And then we've got Chelsea. I wrote on his government whisperer because. Oh yeah. So welcome, Chelsea.
Hey, Chelsea, thanks. Appreciate it. I guess I do whisper and sometimes yell at the government.
Yeah. So tell us about that real quick. Like what's
okay. Well,
quick rundown
I guess
on
that would be
what you
helpful.
do.
So, I work with a lot of small businesses, and between small and large businesses, and with the government. So within the government contracting market in general, and oftentimes that includes working with large vertically integrated bureaucratic organizations that tend to have a lot of regulation and policy, so much policy, and quite a few badge readers. I noticed a lot of badge readers on those places. And there's also the small businesses that's like what I like live and die for. Those are the best businesses in the country are small businesses, and they're just fueling America's economy right now, and I love it. They're doing the coolest stuff. Yeah, that's pretty much why I love working with small businesses, because they do get to do the most innovative stuff, and they're super flexible and super agile. So definitely, oftentimes I have better small business clients than sometimes large can be.
That's so cool. Because that as a small company, there's also a lot of like pressure to move quickly. So it is difficult for small companies to work with government, because the government can take a while to see something come to fruition and pay, right?
Yeah, so the government wants fast, but they aren't fast at all. So you kind of sit and wait and do as you're told kind of game with it. And you know you'll get paid. It might take a minute.
Yeah. Cool. Joseph, you made it on, man.
Yeah, sorry, some technical difficulties.
That's cool. So Joseph, you own Mary Rose's video marketing. You do like I was telling them before we hopped on, like all the high quality stuff that I've seen up here is all you, man.
Appreciate that. That.
Yeah. What's tell us what you do with video marketing in that. What is that?
Yeah, so I like to say kind of like my 1-2 liners, capturing the essence and process of your business. Kind of the essence is just what I kind of pride myself on, which I feel like a lot of videos miss, is kind of like who someone really is, like in a real way, in a relatable way. And then the process being like how you actually help people, because no one cares if you're not actually solving a problem.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right on. I love what you do, man, because like getting in front of a camera is scary. Mm-hmm. Even when you're like the expert, you're the guy, you know, like you are the go-to person, and then you hop in front of a camera, and it can be kind of daunting to express that, right?
Oh yeah, for sure. Anytime you'll see a video of me on LinkedIn and I'm in front of the camera, that was take 36. It's terrible. Super. I love being behind the camera.
Yeah. I'm completely different. I just don't have the patience for it. Like I'll just turn on the camera and go whatever happens. So I might be one of those difficult clients. So like everybody, if anybody's watching, I really like throwing together these sort of like panel type discussions, because none of us on this call have ever really met before. I'm maybe the only link between everybody. And we all come from like different industries, and I love capturing that there's always something that we can all learn, and there's always something that our experience in these different industries, we can bring them together and help somebody else grow. So like these talks are never really about our companies specifically. They're more about us like sharing our experiences and finding that common overlap that hopefully other people that are watching can take that and find the same value. So yeah. Difficult clients. I think when most of us think about difficult clients, we think about like I immediately go to like leaving money on the table. Like I've run into people, and that's where I think where my brain goes. It's not where I physically go every day with my business if I run into a difficult client, but like that's an easy place to go. Like you see that turn of, I just don't want to work with this person. Yeah. What are some of your guys' experience with that, and like how do you prep for that? Has any like when you see that coming, how do you prep for that so that you don't have to leave money on the table?
I would say, so you don't leave money on the table?
Yeah, or do whatever you want.
Yeah, I would say, maybe the best way to get around that is just having like clear communication from the jump, and like boundaries, I guess, and just like clear communication, like this is what's expected of you, this is what's expected of this person, and that's how the relationship goes. So like a relationship's an understanding. So just making sure that understanding is as clear as possible. And if the understanding is as clear as possible and it still seems to be like a problem, then that's, I guess, when maybe you have to leave the money on the table, which in my experience is always worth your sanity and just quality of life.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Chelsea, I'm interested to hear what your thoughts are on this, like from both sides, like difficult small businesses who have high expectations or low, and government. You said we're bad readers.
Oh gosh. Oh, the government. Well, you know, it's it's not that they're bad readers, it's that they're just hyper writers. They tend to like overemphasize and add like just like about every 50-cent word that they can find in the FAR for no apparent reason to every
Yeah.
solicitation. So it's like, are we writing towards this, or is this meant for somebody else, or did we write this? It's really confusing going in and like trying to just find an RFP on the streets and like respond to it. Like the way that I can overemphasize this is trust your gut. Like either way, when you're working with a large business, when you're working with the government, when you're working with a small business, if it just sounds really great and it feels really slimy, just don't do it. Like it there might be like big sums of money on the table, but probably not. I mean, probably if you're getting that slimy feeling, there's probably not, and it's probably going to be more hassle than it's worth. I mean, in my experience, like a big name, for instance, like you can have like this really ideal image of working with this like large prime integrator. They've got like this great reputation as like a very, you know, equitable or like just, you know, very expanded large business that's got a lot of work. And so you're, you know, having them as a partner would be a resume maker. But in reality, they might not actually give you any work. They might just want to use some of your past performance. They might have some IP theft history. You know, it just kind of spans the gambit. It's yeah, trust your gut.
Yeah. Holy cow, you just went down a whole nother like road of difficult clients. I was thinking like I've worked with some clients who are like maybe developing an app, right? And so I do a lot of like rapid prototyping, throwing together some quick user interviews so we can get a physical thing in front of some people and test it before they build out a huge thing. And I've worked like with some I've turned away clients who are just so stuck on their idea of this app. They're so stuck on the functionality of it. This is how it has to look, that they're just not willing because they are the expert. They can't see through that they're building it for themselves, you know, and they're asking the wrong people for, hey, do you like this? Like, yeah, I love it. So I've had to turn down jobs there. But it was a lot of like what Joseph was saying. It was like, this just isn't going to, there's going to be a lot of time invested in helping this person grow to understand a perspective of user-centered design that I just don't have the time to educate them before I onboard them as a, you know?
Oh, there's that too.
Yeah. Yeah. Melissa, what are your thoughts on this? Like when you hear difficult client from your experience in writing, both for yourself and for others, proofreading, ghostwriting, and now working with this excavation company, what do you think of when you hear difficult client? Like, do you have a person that comes to mind?
I have a few people that come to mind. I think almost all of my clients are difficult because they're not me. So, you know, that's something that I have to constantly deal with. You know, I also work for an engineer and I organize his office. And one thing that I pride myself in is meeting a client where a client needs me to be. And I also am very good at not taking things personally. That is, you know, one of the 4 agreements. And I practice it religiously. It's the one I'm the best at. I'm not so good at, you know, not making assumptions. But I try not to take things personally. And so I detach myself a little bit from, you know, how the person's behaving or the fact that they are so inefficient and I am super efficient. And any inefficiency absolutely drives me bananas. But at the end of the day, I just meet them where they need me to be. I've only walked away from a few clients. I've walked away from one twice. And the one that I did twice stung. It got personal, and I started taking it personally. And that's where I built boundaries for the first time, I think, with that person. That one hurt, actually.
Yeah.
And we diverged. I wasn't respected the way that I thought I needed to be respected. Because I had to ratchet up my self-confidence a little bit and understand that, I do provide a service. So my business is Melissa Lavery LLC. It's a very small business. It's me. And I serve other small businesses. That's the only business I'm in. So, I serve other people often who have a lot of money, who have an idea, but they don't know how to do anything. They don't know how to organize. They don't know how to call their clients. They don't know how to do QuickBooks. They don't know how to blah, blah, blah. Well, I didn't know any of that stuff either, but I'm very resourceful. I don't come from money. I don't come from a lot of anything. And so I just teach myself, and I use those tools. I use those opportunities to teach myself so that I can extend that service to the next client. And then word of mouth happens. And that is actually how I've built my business. But those difficult clients, I try really hard not to leave the money on the table, because for me, I will do what you need for the money on the table more times than not. But that's because I can detach myself. When I can't detach myself, that's when I easily walk away from a position.
That's really encouraging. Joseph, you're like shaking your head, like, yeah, like you resonate with a lot of what she's saying.
Well, there was, there was a situation where it felt personal for sure. And it almost, in the midst of it, it was like, it was the first time I had went through something like that. And it was just like, okay, this is getting crazy. And, hey, Lindy. And, I was just like, I was just like, this is getting crazy, basically. And I was reaching out to the mentors. And I was like, I was explaining the situation. And they were like, and it's just crazy. There was some of my mentors, they've been in business for years, and I've never had something like that happen. And I'm just like, but afterwards, after the storm, it like, as a freelancer, it forced me to grow up a lot and see things before they happen now, like red flags. For instance, just recently, someone had like saw me somewhere and wanted to talk to me about a video possibly. And that same day, they sent me a text message at like 11:30 p.m. And I was like, red flag, and So, of course, but before my situation prior, that kind of taught me a lot of things. I wouldn't have seen different stuff like that. I'd be like, whoa, this person does not. That's almost like a lack of respect. Maybe I'm taking a little bit far, but it's almost like a lack of respect to me.
It's like business courtesy.
Yeah, and not only that, if to add to, they were asking if I could send them something the next day. On Saturday.
Oh yes. Yeah.
How did you?
Like, they always want it yesterday, like for free, just like they like for somebody else, or just like you did it for them yesterday. Like, it's crazy.
Yeah.
How did you handle that one?
That text?
Yeah.
That text turned into something a little bit more spicy, if you will, with my actual client that they met me when I was with my actual client. And that it was followed up the next morning with like a kind of crazy text where I was like, whoa, I don't want to get in the middle of this. So I called my actual client. They were like, hey, really sorry. You don't need to be in the middle of it. When you send us, the video, we'll take care of you. And you don't have to reply to that. And I just didn't. Because I was like, no, I'm not getting in the middle of that.
Holy cow. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
Your intuition was right.
Yeah. It was like trouble. And I was like,
nope, not today.
Yeah.
I was gonna say, like, on Melissa's comments, what she was saying about like, I'll do anything to meet you. I think like there's a lot of value in that, and like going, this person probably isn't trying to be difficult, right? They're coming to me because they don't know how to do it, or they want it done better than they could. And most people don't try to be difficult. So how can I be a person who helps? Lindy, you're watching. Matt, I hope you are too. Matt he shared a TikTok with me today about from a guy. I really hate that guy, Matt. I don't like that guy. I don't like that guy as much as I don't like Jocko Wilco. but he sent me a TikTok, and the guy had a lot of valuable things to say. He said, help people. Like that's one of the things that he stands on as an entrepreneur. I'll help people. I will help people before I'll look to make money, because if I help people, people go like, oh, well, he's trying to help me. And it helps build that relationship quicker. And I agree with that. Like that's kind of where my name for my company came from, this whole Collaborli, collaborating with community. Because I believe if we can just help each other out, like we're all going to eventually grow and get better and, do better in life, do better financially. So yeah, Melissa, I think like that, what you said earlier resonated with me. Joseph, you're like I said earlier, like putting somebody in front of a camera is probably pretty challenging. But what about from the other side? Have you had clients who come to you and they know exactly what they want? They just need you to do it their way.
Yeah. Do you mean kind of like they know exact? What do you mean by that? I guess.
Yeah, like, hey, I have this idea. This is what it looks like, and basically they try to direct from in front of the camera.
I haven't ran into that too often.
Yeah.
I would say sometimes maybe if I'm like subcontracting with an agency, obviously they have their. I'm a little bit more hands off whenever that kind of project comes up, because the agency and their client have already had those communication stuff. So I'd say that's the closest thing to that. And yeah, it's never too difficult though. I kind of understand that part of the business whenever you're the subcontractor and you're working with the agency who doesn't have in-house video.
Sure.
I'll say that's the closest thing that comes to that. But honestly, I haven't ran into too much of that. The best clients, and I feel like the best work that I put out is the clients that are kind of like, hey, we want this and we know you know how to do it. So boom, go do it. And I do it.
That's
and
awesome.
Those are always the best videos.
Crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you guys experience that same thing, like writing and dealing with government work? If a company comes in, they already know sort of the direction they want to run, and it's feasible.
Data. I like data. Yeah, show me data. Show me data why you want to go that direction. Like I've got a great example of a company that, they were a small business and they'd been around for, like 20 some odd years, or like a while, for a small business. And they came and said, we want this exactly, and we're pushing this line of effort. And I said, okay, well, why exactly are you pushing this line of effort? It seems to be completely in the other direction than what you're doing now. Can you explain to me? And like the response that I got was, we don't know. We don't know why we're selling this, we're selling so much of it. We don't know. And it's hard to really build a case, and it's hard to build like enthusiasm behind, I don't know why it's great. I don't really know. It's, I don't really know why I'm going in this direction. And then, you have 5 conversations, and you find out on that 5th conversation that they are going to go an entirely different direction than what they said they wanted to go on in the first conversation. And then you find out, okay, wait, they were working with somebody earlier, and this was somebody they were like, we were screwed by another company, another consultant. So we just want it to be really cheap and really short and really great. We want to see results right now, because we've spent so much money and wasted investment on other things. So we just want to see your results immediately, please. Thank you. And I'm like, right. I mean, you got my timelines. Well, I like 12, 24 months. All right. Okay. Immediately. What? You got like 6 months to give me? Like, oh, no, 1 month. 1 month. Amazing. In 1 month, get us a contract, and that's what we want. And then come to find out, they're still working with that company and that consultant that screwed them. And they've got no actual reason other than the guy on top wants to go this direction. And he's not been on any of these calls. So I'm like, yeah, you can know what you want, but if you don't have any sort of basis for that, like I might push back,
Yeah. Right
Can
on.
I say something?
Yeah. Oh, real quick, Joseph. Hey, are you able to scoot back a little bit? Every time I put something up on the screen, it like cuts you off from here down.
Yeah, I noticed it's like really like tight on my face, but I'm not that pretty far away.
Yeah. There you go. Yeah, Melissa, what were you saying?
No, I agree with the idea of this vibe. Like, I do my best work when my clients are trusting me. My best clients are the ones that don't really care what I do because they know that I'm just going to do what they need. But I know what they need better than what they know they need. They just have money to give, and they'll give me my price, and they listen to me, and they often get in their own way. And I have to kind of tell them, like, I'm really kind of thinking you need to do this. And they're like, oh yeah, totally. Just do your thing. Where I come into a problem are the clients that want to control things. I wouldn't go into a store to try to buy something or hire a contractor and then tell them how to do their job. So why would somebody hire me to do something that they can do them? Like, go do it yourself then. That's how I feel about it. Go do it yourself. And the people that I have come across that I've either quit or I've held at an arm's length, because I do have those relationships where it's like, okay, yeah, I'll do this for you, but it's going to cost you. And I'll like raise my rate with them. I'll be like, sorry, it's like $20 more an hour now. And they're like, okay. And they're like, a little upset about it, but they'll pay me, and it's still never worth it. It's never worth it because they're controlling. They don't respect my time. Like you were saying, I used to have a client that made me use my phone for everything. I have clients who send me phones now. So whatever work I have to do, I use it on their phone, but not my own phone. But that's kind of a telling sign now, whether I'm using my own phone for some things or, and now that the bar is raised, it's like, I just can't go back. So you have to trust me. I offer you a service. You could take it or leave it. But if you're going to control the situation, then I can't work my best. I can't flow. I can't be intuitive. It stifles me. It chokes me. And really, at the end of the day, I don't know if I can offer you a service.
Yeah.
So I usually go a different direction.
Yeah. Chelsea, you've been working in government, like working with in this space, right? You said your parents started their business, right? And they got this whole thing going. You've basically grown up around government contracting from what age? You said like 6?
Folks started the company in my house when I was 8. So
yeah. So you've lived in this world of how like at some point you had to like, how was it that exposure that increased your bravery to speak up to the client and just go like, talk, hey, tell me why, show me the data, and really like check their facts? Like how did you build up that resiliency to their pressure of this is what I want?
I got burned, and I saw people get burned. You got to experience, you got to get like, you're going to get tarnished like once or twice, and you're going to really realize that that's not what you want to do anymore, and that's no fun, and that's never sign up with that company again. And like that obviously was not a good decision. And okay, well, this seems to be a trend, and you hear about it from others. If you've experienced it, typically you can probably find others that have experienced a similar treatment from that same company, and then that becomes a reputational thing, and then I will actively campaign not to work with you. And I mean,
Yeah.
it's just about equity and like it's about being respectful, and being in a equitable and respectful partnership or teaming relationship, in whatever you're doing. I mean, it's like I see a lot of what seems like schoolyard stuff, and it's all from grown people who are all older than me, much older than me, and it's oftentimes I find that probably one of the most challenging things is that they don't want to listen to young, and they don't want to listen to new school because new school might threaten their way of life or their job or both, uh, and that can be scary, and I get that. But I mean, it's if you work together and if you like maintain an openness towards that, I think you set yourself up for success more so than shutting yourself down and burning bridges before you even start working together.
Yeah, it's really good. So you, like Joseph, you were talking about this word of mouth, right? I think all of you guys have really talked about word of mouth a little bit. So all of you guys, what type of word of mouth, and like, is there such a thing as negative word of mouth for difficult people? Like, you worked with that person, you're going to tell everybody else in your industry, like, yeah, avoid that. That's not worth your, or do, have you had that happen to you? That somebody has told you, like, yeah, don't go there. And then you met a person who was like, yeah, I was told not to come to you, but you're really great.
So I would say personally, even with that person, I was actually just talking about with that difficult client. I would say, people ask if they're not in a position where they're gonna be like contracted by them, or there's no way that they can be harmed by that person. I actually don't even bring it up. And then just because I feel like that's kind of like an ugly trait if you're just like talking like it can come across as talking mess, even if they maybe hurt you. And maybe you're like totally valid in like expressing your feelings. It just could come across wrong if no one knows. But if someone was in the situation where they could get affected how I did, I would probably like professionally let them know what happened, in like a professional way, I guess. And then on the other side of that, I don't know if anyone's ever said don't work with so and so because of this. I have early on, very, 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 very early on, worked with someone, and nothing bad happened. But I thought, nothing bad happened. But when I got more experience, you kind of look back and you're like, wow, I put up with that, or like, dang, why were they saying that? Like, I wouldn't ever, nothing would happen like that. And then I found out later, like, no one likes these people. So I was like, oh. So yeah. I hope that answered the question.
You're definitely on mute.
Yeah, you're definitely on mute.
Yeah, I told you that would happen tonight. At least twice. So I got one more in me. Yeah. Melissa's husband. There you go. Meet people.
Thanks, babe.
Yeah. And Matt says, great conversation. Hi. I hope he heard my comment about the guy the TikTok he sent me. All right. Well, like this whole red flags, you talked about red flags, Joseph, and Melissa, you've talked about being burned, having clients send you their own company phones to answer in that. What are your guys' go-to steps now? So like when you get a potential client in front of you, you have a sort of a process that you maybe consciously or subconsciously put yourself through to make sure to validate your own clients before you take them on, right? Like, what is your guys' go-to steps?
Google them.
Yeah.
Easiest thing. I mean, just first and foremost, Google them and find out if there's any bad news about them lately or good news about them lately, and how they treat their employees. You can often see like there's postings on LinkedIn and they're celebrating, XYZ month or this employee, or you can kind of get that culture check if you kind of check out their sort of presence, if you will. And just like before the conversation, I mean, always have a conversation, but just before the conversation, it's nice to just be aware of what's going on, right?
What about you,
My
Joseph?
clients are really small.
Melissa, yeah.
Oh, sorry. My clients are not, I don't serve big businesses. I serve other entrepreneurs who are, one person, it's always like I write a book and the publisher doesn't pay me enough. So I tell him that. And then he said, oh, sorry, this is Stash. I don't know if you can see her. She's my favorite client. So I told him, I need more money. He says, I can find people that will pay, I can pay cheaper, which means that he's not looking for quality. And so he, will pass me on to somebody who needs some work, and then their student will need some work. And then, so I'm making, I'm editing people's side projects or their books or their, whatever I'm writing, or I'm interviewing for somebody's, life, their dream. So I can't really Google people. I don't really social media stalk. I just don't really like that, because I often find that if people tell me, like, for example, I'm writing this book right now where I had to interview a bunch of people that are kind of famous in the yoga world, and their reputations precede them. And I found that I really like them, regardless of what other people tell me about them, because again, I don't know, I blank slate. So I try not to social media, like I try not to get into that stuff. For me, it's about, are they willing to pay me what I'm asking? Are they going to do that and allow me to offer the service that I need to provide for them, that they're asking for? And a lot of times I notice that if somebody's just like, yeah, you're it, this is why I contacted you, this is what I heard, then I go for it. If it's somebody who's like trying to barter with me, or like low cut me, or like wheel and deal, I immediately I just don't really, I'll say, oh, maybe you should try this, or this is really what I need to do. Because I've learned not to accept certain things, but that's from being burned, like you had discussed earlier. But money does talk. I know that sounds awful, but especially with my level client, my small level clients, if they're willing, then that's okay. If they're not, then I don't know what to. I think that's the difficult client.
Money and time. I mean, money,
it's a value thing.
Commitment. Like if they're willing to work with you and be like alongside you, collaborating with you, and giving you the input you need and all the information you need. Gosh, they're the best. I love working with those people.
And you can feel their excitement. You can they're invested in it as well. You're a partner in it almost.
Yeah, exactly. There's good clients too.
Yeah, sorry. I know we're supposed to not be talking.
Joseph, what about you, man? Do you got any type of like filter system that you run clients through?
No, honestly. Like I said, I think I've grown some antennas that naturally kind of like we see things before they happen, if they're negative and positive. But I wouldn't say I have like a filter process or anything like that. Sometimes, like she had mentioned, going to like Google and looking at the reviews and stuff. I don't do that, because sometimes they're coming to me because maybe their reviews aren't the best, or something happened and now it's like PR time. So I don't do that. So yeah, I would just say I trust my instincts, and you're never done learning. So I'm sure there's some more antennas that'll grow be like, oh, maybe that, maybe not with that or that because this and this. So just like honestly, just trusting my instinct and learning and growing.
Right on.
Yeah.
Trying not to get jaded. Definitely trying to stay just open and not jaded. Like
For
it
sure,
happened like
that
this
too. That too.
before.
I think you got to mention like people coming to you and being like, yeah, we worked with so and so and they did this. Like that's happened to me before, and like not necessarily a red flag, but it just got kind of weird. Like it's just weird. Yeah, kind of like in a relationship that would be weird. It's like the business relationship that's weird too. It's like that's weird. Like you keep bringing that up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly. Like,
Yeah.
is that person still sucking money from you? Are they still around? Like, oh gosh,
Yeah.
that's a bigger problem then.
Yeah.
Right on. I got to keep muting myself here. Hopefully it's not too loud. My son has just started taking a bath, and I realized this is the first time I realized that the pipe runs through the wall back here.
We can't hear it.
All right, cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, awesome. Yeah, I've got like a small like 60 to 90 minute thing where it's sort of like a client interview that I do, but it's really standardized, and it's got a fun name, and I just say like, hey, let's hop on and talk through some things, and it's meant to really like dig into that stuff and answer a lot of those like, what is the organizational behavior here? How flexible are these people? How rigid are they? What type of personalities am I going to deal with? And it just kind of pulls a lot of that out. But to them, it looks like we're kind of like sifting through some overlying problems to find what's, some smaller root causes that we can get after. That's sort of mine. Yeah. Well, I guess we've been doing this for like 40 minutes. I think we could all keep going probably if we don't stop.
Almost certainly. And she's not even on like this coast.
Yeah. You're on the East Coast, so it's like midnight now, right, Melissa?
It's 11:50.
It's 11:50.
Can I just add one quick thing before whatever it is that you're wrapping up? Earlier it was mentioned that younger sometimes is not respected, like you're not as respected as often by maybe some older people. I noticed that as a female in an industry that works with a lot of males. So yes, I'm a writer, but I also work in septic systems. I work with the excavators and the engineers. And that was where it got personal. And that's where it got rough for a while, because I was providing a service that they couldn't provide and that they weren't providing. And I was treated kind of subpar simply because I was in the office as opposed to the field. And that was very difficult because they were my client. And I have to be careful with the language that I use. They're not my boss. They're my client. I have my own business. You give me a 1099. And don't forget that. I'm an independent contractor. And I provide for you a service that you obviously need because you cannot do this yourself. And when I walked away, because it became personal and because my decision-making skills were outweighed by somebody who was a cowboy, that person came back to me later, and their wife came back to me and said, "We need you. I don't know what happened, but we need you." And again, I charged them so much more than they were paying me, and they, okay, yes. And it was like, okay. And still boundary after boundary after boundary, I had to set with them. It was always, well, can you do this? Well, what about this? And I was like, wait, I'm only going to provide you bids, or I'm only, because I've got the math skills, or I've got these things that I can do that you need. And I finally had to, just this past December, say goodbye again, because it was like, you're creeping up on my boundaries constantly. I tell you about it. And you say, oh yeah, that's right. To the point where I even had to just deal with the wife. And it was like, this is such a headache. You're not respecting me. You're not respecting me, period. And so, again, back with that self-confidence, it's hard sometimes to be confident, especially I'm a stay-at-home mom. This is a business I grew. I'm a trained teacher, public school teacher who just decided to become a freelancer. And so that was hard for me for a while. But now I realize that I could charge even more. Thanks to my husband, by the way, for constantly pushing me. But, when it comes to gender or age, that is an issue that I come across, and just having to be constantly confident in what I do. And usually when I say goodbye to a client that is no longer serving me, another better client comes into the picture because I opened that door. I made room for them. I provided time, and it's like magic. It's like manifesting. And you have to say no to those people who are not respecting your intelligence, skill set, time, etc. Thank you for letting me say that.
That's awesome.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, I'm actually writing on the side. I'm a full-time student, and I'm actually writing like an 8-page essay, I guess you would call it, about that.
Yeah.
Kind of like, basically how women are treated in the workplace, whether that be contractors, actually employees, and just stuff like that. So that's really cool you said that. I might add that in.
Use the term OWG, old white guy. And it's just an unfortunate syndrome, but it happens to be very prevalent in government and Congress and all those extra special important places that sign the times.
Mm-hmm. Well, I'm available if you need to contact me, Joseph.
I might take you up on that. Yeah.
Seriously, please do.
Making connections, Graham. There you go.
Yeah. Yeah. So Joseph, from your experience of capturing an incredible and powerful and meaningful human experience to convey it to other people, right? What is your advice to really anybody who's taking on new people and maybe runs into somebody who's just a little difficult to deal with?
Kind of like specifically in video?
Yeah, sure.
Oh.
What's one last nugget you would drop on everybody?
I would say, man, I think I kind of already said it. Like a relationship is an understanding. So just making sure the understanding is like thoroughly communicated and you can't break it. Because once you break the understanding, then it's kind of like you don't know what the relationship is. So just making sure that understanding is in understanding as in like what you expect of each other.
I really like that. Yeah. Chelsea, you work with the government, probably the most difficult client of all, right? Projects happening all over the place across all the industries, projects happening in this office, and the money is held over here, and the project is planned over here, right? And the management of it, control of it is over here. What's one last thing you would drop on everybody? You're running in, dealing with a difficult client. What are you going to do?
Patience is always helpful, but if you don't have a seat at the table, it's, you don't really have much say in the relationship. So, I'm always an advocate for having a seat at the table. You want to have sort of a partnership. You want to be at least in the conversation, and that way you're able to at least maintain a voice in the outcome.
Right. I love that. So I kind of captured some of the notes that we talked about. I'll go ahead and kind of sum them up for anybody who's still on or watching this again. We talked about, don't take things personally, right? Things are going to happen. Clients are going to think some things. It's nothing personal, right? I love I love what Melissa said about meet them where they need to be. Like meet them where they're at. Meet them where they need to be. If they got to go there with them. They're the ones who are ultimately paying you. And that kind of linked into what Joseph, what you had mentioned about like some of the best clients are the ones that know exactly what they want. If you can deliver that, that's all they're asking for. If you can get them there, they're going to be happy as peaches. Value your service. Don't undersell it. I love that. Like, know where you're at, know what you can market yourself at, know what the service is that you provide, and you're filling the gap in between what they can do and what you're capable of. So don't cut yourself short. Trust what the client wants. Like this goes back to, again, Joseph, like you're saying, trust what the client wants. This guarantees success. If you go down that road, you're going to hit success. Ask for the data. I love that. Like challenge them. Don't be afraid to challenge an expert in their own backyard. I don't remember who said that, but like, yes, you're the company. Yes, this is your IP. But how do you know it fits into this area? Like, show me that, because that helps you kind of drive along and make them successful. And then I love that experience may show you what you don't want to do. Like experience is going to get you, it'll get you up the ladder. It'll get you a reputation for being successful, but it's also going to run you into things that you don't like doing. And you're going to find out, okay, these are the type of clients I don't, these are the red flags I'm looking for. Like I still take calls at 11:03 at night sometimes. And you know, it's not something I like doing. Yeah. Relationship. I love that. A relationship is an understanding. If we understand each other, we'll have a good relationship. If you break that understanding, you might have just broke that relationship. And that kind of goes both ways, right?
100%.
Yeah. And then I love that be patient. Be patient and be involved. Be in the conversation. Stay at the table. That way you'll have all the information. You'll be able to build reputation and build respect for your knowledge on their own projects. Guys, thank you guys so much for hopping on here with me. I learned so much from all of you.
This was so fun. I love it.
Yeah. Cool. Well, hey, all of you guys, Melissa, is LinkedIn the best place to find you at, or Facebook? Where, if somebody wants to reach out to you, can they email you? Or
I'm not on LinkedIn. I do run some people's LinkedIn pages for them now, but I don't find the platform to be very easy. I have a website, melissaklavry.com. That's MELISSAKLAVERY.
I already lost it.
And that's all. Can I put it in a chat somewhere?
Yeah, you can drop it in the comments there. It'll post
The
it
comments?
it'll
Okay,
post
and that's where you can find my books and any other writing that I've done. How do I write in the regular comments?
This guy said, not taking it personal was the hardest part when I was in private industry. Michael, thank you.
I'm not sure if I can do that in the regular comments.
Other Michael, thank you. Muted Graham. A lot of Michaels on here tonight. Yeah. Cool. I can't put in comments. Fred. All right. Let me drop it in here. There it is. All right. So melissaklavry.com. Joseph, if somebody wants to reach out to you, what's the best avenue to take?
LinkedIn.
All day. All right.
Yeah.
Cool. And Chelsea?
I'm on LinkedIn or collaborativecompositions.com.
Collaborativecompositions.com. All right. Awesome. Well, hey, again, thank you guys for hopping on. If we talked about anything that I missed, I didn't get a chance to put much in the comments today. But if we talked about books or anything that you want to drop in there, things that you think people would find interesting in the conversation, please drop them in afterwards after we get off. Thank you guys. And just hang on. And I'm going to go ahead and thank you everybody for listening. And I'll end this if you guys want to hang out, and we'll wrap up. Cool.